Well, it's so important that today we're talking about problem solving in general. That includes not only governments, always have been at the forefront of tackling inequality, but today it's the nonprofit sector and the private sector are equal partners and players. We can't do it without all three. The job's too big, and frankly, it requires something different from each of the sectors. So what we're seeing is a really exciting time where private sector and equity funding can be an early starter that can be followed by public sector long-term taking to scale. So the big change for the private sector is that I think there's a wide recognition now that if we can really go after inequality and build new markets and bring people out of poverty and into the middle class, there's $12 trillion worth of new economic opportunity. On the other side, the public sector and the nonprofit sector are finally recognizing that it's okay if the private sector makes money while it's trying to do good. So what we're seeing are real, true alliances where the strengths of each of the sectors now can be fully leveraged and where they are working together toward a common goal. So that's one of the most critical pieces. There has to be alignment of what the final outcomes should be, and then it's okay if the government sector is ensuring that there's a safety net, if the nonprofit sector is ensuring that no one's left behind, and the private sector is ensuring that it's sustainable. The opportunities are all over the world, but obviously the areas where people are looking the most are Asia and Africa. So in Africa, we know that there's going to be literally the creation of maybe 100 New York-sized cities as people move from rural areas into urban areas in the next 25 to 50 years. That's an incredible opportunity for infrastructure, for new financing. So we see a lot happening in Africa. Asia similarly is already on the move. And well, I think when we look at challenges and opportunities, I mean, the first challenge is obviously there is still risk. And often the risk is perceived because the opportunities look small. Well, the UN Foundation is a bridge between the three elements of problem solving: the governments, the nonprofit sector, and most importantly, the private sector. So we see our role as helping build those collaborative alliances that can solve everything from making sure vaccines get to children to ensuring women who are cooking in a rural setting have a cleaner and more efficient stove, that we're actually moving to a carbon-free economy. Those are such big goals. They can only be achieved by people working together.